If you've been watching YouTube videos about relocating to Omaha, then you've probably heard about how amazing this city is. Overall, people love it. It's very affordable, short commute times, and generally a really great quality of life. However, as a realtor, I've heard over and over that there are some things that have caught people by surprise. They're not necessarily reasons they wouldn't have moved here, but it's maybe something to think about and reconsider as you're making this move. My name is Morgan Putnam, and I am a local realtor. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for stopping by the Omaha Insider YouTube channel. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you're always the first to know what's going on in Omaha. On my website, heymorganputnam.com, there's also a free neighborhood guide. Make sure to grab that guide so you know what neighborhood is the right fit for you in Omaha. There are 6 topics we're going to cover today when we're talking about the 6 reasons that I hear just word of mouth. This is all anecdotal. What I hear pretty consistently, though, that people have found to be a little bit of a challenge in Omaha. The first thing is property taxes. So sure, your mortgage is going to be lower than it's going to be in a lot of different states in the US, but not necessarily your pity payment, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So our tax levy is pretty high throughout the whole Omaha metro. And especially if you're planning on living in a suburb, then your property taxes might be even a little bit higher because it's in a sanitary improvement district, which is the funds that fund a new neighborhood development. So that's what puts in all the infrastructure, the streets, the sewer, the water lines, all of those things. So that tends to be a little bit of a shock to people when they look at their monthly payment actually broken down. It can be quite a bit higher than what you might have expected when you're buying that $400,000 or $500,000 house in Omaha, just because your property taxes are a lot higher than what people expect. And this can be the case throughout the metro. You might be looking at $500,000 house in Morton Meadows and then one in Papillion, and your property taxes are going to be very different in those two areas. And so it's going to be a lot higher in the suburbs than it is going to be in a central Omaha location. The second surprise that I hear over and over is that it is very difficult to fly to diverse locations. So it's very easy to get to Chicago, Houston, Minneapolis, Denver, places that are really close to Omaha. It's super easy to get there, a ton of direct flights. However, if you're trying to get someplace maybe a little bit more unique or a little bit further, it is pretty difficult to fly from Eppley in Omaha to different locations throughout the US or the world. There's no international flights at this point. There's going to be an international customs area once the airport remodel is completed in 2028, but there's still going to be pretty limited options once that's actually finished. We're looking at probably like Cancun, maybe Cabo, but we'll see. So overall, it's just pretty difficult to get to a more unique location. You're going to need to prepare for a flight that has connections and then also just maybe a more expensive flight because of that. However, on the other side of that coin, because it is more limited, because of that, it's very easy to park. It is super easy to get through security. The airport is a breeze, honestly. It's just much more limited options than what you're going to find if you're living in Chicago, Denver. Even Kansas City is going to have way better options than Omaha. This is the perfect transition to the third item that I hear over and over, is that it can be pretty difficult to get anywhere from Omaha. We're not super close to anything by car. Like, it's 3 hours to Kansas City, which isn't bad. And then Des Moines is like 2.5, but that doesn't necessarily open up way better shopping options or a bigger airport or really anything like that by going to Des Moines. And then Minneapolis is about a 6-hour drive. Denver's a 7-hour drive. So it can just feel pretty isolated to live in Omaha because you really can't drive to many places and flying is tricky. It can feel a little isolated to live in Omaha because driving anywhere that's really totally different than Omaha is going to be a very long drive. And then flights are just a little bit more expensive and you need to prepare for that connecting flight. The fourth surprise that I hear is around the weather. And so I think everybody kind of knows that, oh yeah, the Midwest, you're going to have cold winters. And sure, we definitely will have a couple of weeks of really cold weather every year. But people are more so surprised by how hot the summers are and how they can last for a pretty long time. Sometimes we're getting summer weather into September or sometimes even into October, where it just is going to be persistently hot. And so the weather yes, people know that we're going to get all 4 seasons. Sometimes people are surprised by how long, particularly the summers, will last when it's just really hot and everybody's eager for that heat to break. Number 5 is that sometimes people are surprised by how slow the pace of life can be in Omaha. And obviously, you can create any life that you want in any city that you want and fill your schedule as full as you want. But sometimes people want to have more options than what you might be able to find in Omaha. And so, if that is the case, sometimes people will just kind of complain about how they feel like there's not enough going on. But I think it's possible to fill your schedule if that is something that's important to you. But you probably are going to need to be pretty diligent about it by maybe joining like a country club, maybe joining a gym, different ways to meet people and to try to fill up your schedule with different things to get to know people in the community, and then also trying to find people that you connect with so then you can go to different restaurants because we have great food. It's just that you're not necessarily going to be like drawn into this crazy nightlife scene in Omaha. And last but not least, and this kind of pulls in perfect from the last point, is that sometimes people feel like it can be hard to find deep, meaningful friendships in Omaha. There's a lot of people that have lived here their whole lives, so they might have friends from high school or college, or their family is here, and so it can feel a little bit difficult to break into different friend groups and different communities of people. It takes that intentionality, like I was talking about before, to try to find those deep, meaningful friendships and relationships that a lot of people are looking for. In Nebraska, overall, people are very kind and very welcoming, but I feel like it's a little bit tricky to get into that next level just because so many people have established families and friend groups. But that's not to say that it's not possible, because it absolutely is. People are very kind overall. It just is going to take maybe a little bit more time than what you might expect or what you might have hoped if you're moving from a city that is full of transplants where everybody's looking for friends. That's not necessarily the case of what you'll find in Omaha. So are these 6 reasons really a reason to not move to Omaha? Probably not, but these are some of the things that I hear of over and over, just so you're not surprised when you make this move to Omaha and you end up loving the city, but there are some things that are just a little bit of a challenge about living here. My name is Morgan Putnam, and you can reach me anytime via call or text 402-720-9886. My email is morgan@heymorganputnam.com, and you can grab my free neighborhood guide on my website, heymorganputnam.com.